This is my first time using this camera. I know nothing about it. So this is, everything I'm about to say is coming from somebody who has pretty much only used either an A6300 or A6500 for the entirety of his photography career. YouTube, what is going on? We are out here at Freeman's Mill Park in Lawrenceville, Georgia with Georgia. Eat, explore, and more. We're going to check things out to see if we can get any photos. I'm actually going to be vlogging, not from this camera, but with one of their Canon M50s. We're going to see how that goes. Let's do it. So they have a Rode mic row, a Rode video mic row, just like is on the A6500 here.
This actually came with the video creator's kit.
Yeah. Oh, really?
You can get on Amazon for the M50. It is, yes. On this setting, it's 1080p at 60 frames per second. So, you know, you can go back and forth and, you know, do whatever.
On the video mode itself. All right, guys, so right off the bat, what I'm noticing about the M50 is that it's a lot lighter than the Sony A6500. I like that. It's also got a flip out screen, which obviously you guys can't see. Makes kind of like making sure my face is in the frame a lot easier than on the at least on the lens that I have on the 6500. So this might have been something I would have filmed before, this leading line in the road here going this way, but I won't not film. This might have been something I would shoot earlier, like when I was first starting photography, but probably not right now. But it is not like a nice leading line going this way. Nice curvy leading line. So this is at 15 millimeters focal length, 4K I believe. Something about the M50, it's on the 4K footage, it kind of like, it crops in a little bit more. Not sure how I feel about that. So this is the manual video mode, 1080p, what is it, 60 frames per second? Yeah, okay, so 60 frames per second. If you notice, there's a much wider angle. We're still at 15 millimeters, but we don't have that 4K cropping. Looking for some compositions for this kind of mill behind me here. It's kind of cool with this, I don't know, with this walkway going this way with the mill right here. Trying to find an angle, I'm not really finding anything yet. DJ with the drone, you guys. Gotta love it, gotta love it. So now comes the part of the video where I'm gonna try and make more or less of a comparison between this camera, the A6500, and this camera, the M50. This is my first time using this camera. I know nothing about it. So this is, everything I'm about to say is coming from somebody who has pretty much only used either an A6300 or A6500 for the entirety of his photography career, which has been a year and a half or so. This camera is brand new. I don't know much about it, but these are kind of my first initial thoughts, first impressions type of thing. So the M50 feels pretty good in the hand. The grip right here is the grip right here protrudes a little bit more than the grip on the Sony does. It's a little bit different, but a little bit of a difference, but it makes holding on to the M50 a little bit easier than holding on to the A6500 or A6300. Like I said before, the camera is also a lot lighter weight than the A6500. That has a lot to do with the type of lens that I'm using right there. That's a Sigma 16mm f1.4. That's a little bit heavier of a lens, but the camera bodies themselves, this one feels this one feels lighter by far, which kind of has its pros and cons. Like it's less weight in your bag, but it also makes the camera feel a little bit cheaper as well. So I don't know anything about the build quality either, so I don't want to. I don't want you guys to infer anything about the build quality of this camera. This is my first time using it. It just feels cheaper. It may not be. The viewfinder in here is pretty cool. It's a little bit smaller than the viewfinder on the A6300 or A6500, but it's still really easy to look through and look at. I think the refresh rate on this, it's at least 60 frames per second, which is nice. The buttons and dials on the camera itself are very nice. We've got a nice kind of tactile feel, good response on the shutter button. Record button as well. All the buttons feel pretty good to press, and it's not like you're going to be accidentally pressing any, which has happened to me before. It's not like you're going to be accidentally pressing one without knowing it. You'll definitely know when you press a button. That's been a problem for me a couple of times in the past. I don't know if it's been a problem for you, maybe just because I'm a noob, but it is what it is. So more along the lines of the buttons, I'm not really seeing any custom customizable buttons on the camera itself, but in the menu there is a button function option where it looks like you can set what a half press does. See if we can mess with this. Yeah, so I'm assuming this is what the this maps to the shutter button up here. You can do metering only or meter plus one shot autofocus. I don't know, that seems to be the only customizable option in terms of the button settings that I'm finding on the camera thus far. Something else that's very important to me on the A6500 and also the A6300 is sensor cleaning. Both the 6500 and the 6300 have built-in sensor cleaning mechanisms like sonic mode, or I forget what it's called, but that's one of the things I was looking on the M50 for, and it does in fact have it, which I'm happy to say. Function settings, menu number 3, sensor cleaning. Now you can either do auto cleaning, which I guess DJ has it set to auto clean. You can do clean now. You go to clean now, press OK, it cleans the sensor. You don't even have to turn the camera off like you do in the A6500 once it's done. The menus are super easy to navigate. As you guys can see up here, we've got 4 kind of basic macro level menus. Within each we have you know, different sub menus we can navigate between. You can navigate these either with the either using your finger or the buttons on the camera itself. So menu, very easy to navigate. Okay, so we had to come over to this location because the building we were filming at just before this, somebody apparently set off the alarm. Wasn't us, I promise, and there was an alarm going off. Hopefully you guys can't hear it right now. We got a waterfall over there too, so hopefully the noise from the waterfall isn't like drowning out my voice at all either. Something else I really like about this camera is the touch screen. Like right here, if you want to change the exposure, you can touch this, move the dial to whatever you want to. Same thing with the aperture. Open the aperture or close it, however you want. I think that's pretty cool. Let's talk about some of the things I'm not very fond of this camera so far in the hour or so that I've used it. Like I said before briefly, when you're shooting in 4K, there's an extra crop that's applied to the video. And if you're vlogging, my arm's not long enough to have my face not take up like the entire frame of the video, which I don't know, I guess that's more of a personal preference, but to me, I'm not really fond of that. Something else I'm not really particularly fond of right now is if you're using this as a vlogging camera and you want to hold the camera out so you can see yourself, so you're going to have to hold it out with your left hand. If you hold it out with your right hand, it's going to be covering up the monitor. It's not that big of a deal in and of itself. However, if you want to be able to see the monitor, you're covering up the record button. So every time you start a video, you're going to have to start the video down here, and then you have to move your arm out, and then when you're done recording, you have to come back over here and press the record button again. It just adds kind of more complications and more time to the recording process. Alright guys, we're going to end this video with a kind of a dual camera setup here. We got the A6500 over this way, the Canon M50 over this way. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hope it was somewhat informative, and mostly it was just me kind of rambling about one camera that I know very well, another one that I don't really know at all. But thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time. Later.